Hey guys, it's Techno Freak here, and welcome to episode 16 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. And today we're going to be talking about ghoul callbacks. So we're going to be talking about callbacks specific to ghouls. So pretty much what ghoul callbacks are. There's not many for the ghoul. There's like a good handful that I think is important. Pretty much like when the ghoul gets alerted, you can call back to a function that does something. And what pretty much like, let's say there's idle functions, there's alert functions, there's hunting functions. So when the ghoul enters a specific state, you can actually call a function in your code that then executes anything you want. So like, despawn the ghoul, open a door, pretty much anything you could want. So we're gonna be talking about how you use those and use them in your script, and some we'll do like an example or two with just some printout messages. Before we get started, just wanted to put this out there again. I know I made a mention to it like a week or two ago. I am uploading on a schedule of 3 videos a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've been on it for about 2 weeks now, so I'm gonna keep going with that. And you guys make sure you guys are subscribed so you can see those videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No specific time, just Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. The videos will be up. So and maybe a bonus video here and there. Stay tuned. There's a lot of cool stuff we got left to cover. So make sure you guys are subscribed and let me know what you guys want to see in the comments. So with that out the way, let's go ahead and get started. So we're not actually going to do anything in our level editor today. I just kind of want to show off what we have here so far. And again, I'm just going to cover the timer like I have been doing with the last few episodes regarding enemies, for those that may have not watched the previous episode, or episode 10 specifically. So we have a ghoul here. His name is just called Ghoul Hallway. And at the bottom of the stairs here, we have a trigger area here called Trigger Bottom Stairs. And what this does is pretty much when the player collides with this trigger area here, we call a function called onCollide player trigger bottom stairs in our code, in our script, and we can execute some stuff. And let's switch over to our code, and we'll zoom you guys in. And what that pretty much does, right here, onCollide player trigger bottom stairs, what this will pretty much do is create a timer when all state equals 1. All state pretty much just means that the player entered the trigger area when it's equal to 1. We create this timer, and then we return false, meaning that we don't want to rerun this trigger area. We only want to run it once, and that will be this timer is right here. On timer hallway ghoul spawn. This spawns the ghoul. And then we've been messing around within here in the last few episodes, trying out a whole bunch of different things. So if you guys haven't seen it and you're interested in seeing some of those videos, make sure you guys check it out if you haven't already done so. But in the last episode, we worked on whole networks for ghouls. And we will be using that code a little bit today, since there are a couple of callbacks that are related to ghoul holes and ghoul whole networks in general. Just keep that in mind. But not very important if you're not working on ghoul hole networks. But if you do at some point, these callbacks may be helpful to you. But we have other ones aside from those. I'll mention the ghoul hole ones last, though. So here's what we're gonna do to structure up our code for what we're gonna do. This just based on what we did last episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to activate our command one here. So I'm going to disable the ghoul mode, stalk through holes, and the ghoul mode set to set that mode. And what we'll do is we'll run this one, the command go to hole execute. And what this pretty much does is make the ghoul go to the nearest hole by running, and he enters that hole. And we had a callback that we wrote in the last episode, where when he enters the hole, we call a function called onEnterHole ghoul hallway, which is this one right here. And what we do is we create a timer, and then that timer calls onTimer hallway ghoul emerge, and then this one makes the ghoul emerge after 5 seconds, so that we set the timer here for 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, that ghoul will emerge, and then after that we don't have anything else scripted. He'll just stand there. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we did in the last episode. The only change I'm gonna make here, I'm gonna leave this running the on enter hole, but I'm gonna remove this callback on emerge complete, because we're gonna be doing a callback that's pretty much identical to this. So we're gonna delete this one, so we don't wanna run the function here, this one here, and I will actually just go ahead and delete the on emerge completed here, because we actually will be writing another one here. And aside from that, that's the only adjustments I'm going to make to the code from the last episode for today's episode. And we're going to talk about the ghoul functions now, the ghoul callbacks now. But make sure you guys have this at the top of your script, helper/helper_agent.hps. If you don't have this, you won't be able to run any of the ghoul or agent commands that are required by this. So make sure you have that. And aside from that, let's go ahead and start talking about these callbacks. So I'm going to show you all the callbacks right off the bat. You're going to type in ghoul_set callback, and this show you all the callbacks that we have for the ghouls. So there's only 6. It's the emerge completed, the hide and hole, the throw animation over, the enter idle, the alerted, and the enter hunt callbacks. So when any of these, if you have one of these written out here, when any of these events happen, it will call something in your code that you program. So if he finishes emerging, something will happen. If he hides in a hole, something will happen. If the throw is finished, we talked about this one actually in I think the first episode about enemies. We will actually talk about it again, but you guys should be familiar with this one already. When the throw animation is over, it will do something. Idle, when the ghoul enter idle, when the ghoul is alerted, and when the ghoul is in hunt mode. Those are the ones we're going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and start talking about it. We'll save the ones related to the ghoul hold networks last. We'll start with the more interesting ones first. So first one I want to talk about is the ghoul_set callback alerted. And here for the first variable, we're going to put in the name of our agent, the name of our ghoul. So this is going to be ghoul_hallway. That's what we called our ghoul. And then we're going to go to the next line here. We can do comma, space, and we're going to put in the name of the function that we want to run. I'm going to kind of stick with the syntax that we have here. So we're going to say on ghoul alerted, and then we'll do underscore, and then here is where you would put the name of the ghoul. So you put in caps ghoul hallway. This is the convention that you write the function with. Of course, you can do whatever you want for this, but typically, the first part of this would describe what the function does, and the second part, this is usually the name of the object that's calling back. So the name of the thing that's calling back. In this case, it's ghoul hallway. So that's why we do it like that. And we'll go ahead and put our semicolon here, and that's all we need for this one. This is about the only one that's different from the other ones that has to be like this. The other ones will all be identical after this. But let's talk about the syntax for the function here for the callback. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna type in void space, and we're gonna copy the name that we have here. This is the name of the function that we gave it. This is the name we gave our function. So we're gonna put it here, and we're gonna do open and close parentheses here, and we'll just drop our curly brace right away, just so we have everything organized here. And on here we're gonna put in const for short for constant, and then you're gonna put t string space, and you're gonna do and in, and then you're gonna say as entity. So you should probably recognize this format by now, but you can see there's other things that use pretty much the same format. This one uses like the same format, but instead it has as timer. This one has to be as entity. And if you're wondering how I get that, if you use code like I do, like we set up in the first episode of the series, this will autofill. So if you do ghoul, and we do like set callback alerted, and you'll see here when it says as function for the function name, you'll see it shows you the syntax here. Syntax void your function name, and then it shows you what values you have to put in here. So that's how I figure out what the structure is. So void, this is our function name, and then that same stuff right there. So that's how I typically figure that stuff out. So if you ever want to do a different kind of callback that's not this one specifically, that's pretty much how you do it. So now that we have this written out, we can put whatever we want in here. All I'm going to do, just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to print out a message to show that our callback works properly. Of course, you can do whatever you want here. When the ghoul is alerted, you can, like, you know, just show a hint. You can show a hint, for example. You can unlock a door. You can, you know, despawn something, you know, anything. You can really do anything here. All I'm going to do in this part here is just print out a message. So I'm going to a debug message specifically, so it's only visible to the debug player. So it's going to be CLux, and it's going to be underscore, and it's going to be add debug message. And we'll go ahead and close that there, and we'll put our semicolon as well, and we'll put our debug message in here, and we'll just say ghoul alerted. So nothing crazy here, just ghoul alerted. So it will just print the debug message called ghoul alerted, and this will tell us that our callback here is working properly. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to this one. Let's go ahead and talk about the next callback. So I'm gonna say ghoul underscore set callback. And the next one we're going to be talking about is the enter hunt. So it's going to be the enter hunt. So it should be the one right here. So ghoul set callback enter hunt. So notice this one has an additional parameter right here. And I'll tell you what that means in a second. But if you read it here, it should be pretty self-explanatory. So what we need here is again the name of our ghoul. So it's going to be ghoul underscore hallway. And do comma space. And then the name of our function. So we're gonna call this one on enter hunt. So pretty much a kind of like a description of what's going on. I'm just kind of copying what's here on enter hunt. Then we're gonna say the name of the object. So in this case, it's the ghoul hallway, just to kind of stick to their convention a bit. And then we'll close this out with a semicolon. But we gotta make sure we put one more value here. And the last one is called is the auto remove boolean. A boolean is just pretty much a true or false. So this is a boolean to decide whether or not it will auto remove when you call this back. So all that means is when you run this, should this run only once, or it should be like removed after you run it once. So if you set this to true, it will run this function here that you called back once, and it'll never run it again. If we set this to false, it'll run it every time that this happens. So every time that the ghoul enters hunt, it will run this. So I will set this to false, so it runs every time. But of course, if you only want it to happen once, you just set this to true, and it'll only ever happen once. So you can change that to your liking. And now let's talk about the syntax for the callback here. So for this one, we're gonna do void, and then we're gonna copy this here, the on enter ghoul hallway, on enter hunt ghoul hallway. And in case if I haven't explained this previously, or you might not be sure what we're gonna put, what this means, void just pretty much means that this function that we're running is not gonna return anything. It's just gonna do something and then it's done. If we wanted to throw back like an integer or a string, this would be that value, or boolean perhaps. We have some of those, like this one here, bool on collide player trigger bottom stairs, which means that this function should return some kind of a true or false value, because it has to return a boolean, and that's why we return like false here, or return true, whatever we decide to do. Just in case I didn't explain that previously, that's pretty much all that means. So in this case, we don't really have to worry about it since it's just a void. The syntax for this part here is actually none in here. This is just no variables, so pretty simple one. We just put our curly brace and we hit enter here, and then we can just do whatever we want here. So all we're going to print out is just another message. So let's just actually copy this here, our debug message, paste it here, and we'll just say ghoul is hunting, just so that we know he's in the hunting state. And now let's talk about the next one. So this is pretty much going to be the format for the remainder of the video. We're just going to keep talking about these here, and they're going to have very similar formats, but there are going to be a few differences in the syntax for the callback. But for the most part, they're pretty similar. We're gonna do set callback here, and for this one, we're gonna do the enter idle. So for this one right here, so enter idle. So this is going to be identical to enter hunt. The remaining ones are actually all going to be identical for this part right here. So we might actually just end up writing all of them here. But next we're going to do Ghoul, so we're going to do the Ghoul hallway. So pretty much the same info here. Ghoul hallway. We're going to do comma, space, quotation marks, and then for this one I'm going to say pretty much follow the same format on enter idle. And then we'll do underscore, and then we're gonna say Ghoul hallway, and then we'll do comma, and we'll do false as well here. I'll close this out. So that's for that one. So let's just write the let's just also write the callback here. We'll just keep it going in order. So we're gonna say void for this one, and we're gonna copy our function name here. We're gonna paste it right here. And then this one's going to be identical to the on enter hunt. This has no values in here. So we're just going to do open and close parentheses. And then we'll do a curly brace and we'll hit enter. So it'll be empty. And again, we're just going to print out a message here. We'll paste that in there. And we'll say ghoul is idle. And then we'll go down here. And we'll hit enter. We'll enter again. Just to make space for the next two that we have left. Or I think the next three that we have left, 3 or 4. I think 3 more. Next it's going to be the throw animation over. So we're going to say ghoul set callback, and it's going to be the first one here, throw animation over. So we'll hit enter here, and again, pretty much same values again here. The name of the agent, so that's going to be Ghoul hallway. Next, the name of the function. So we're going to call this one, we're going to say on throw finish. On throw finished underscore, and then we're going to say Ghoul hallway. And then we'll do comma, and we'll do false here as well. So for that one, let's get the callback here. That one's just void. This actually has no values, so it's going to be void on throw finish, but let's just copy it here to make sure we got no typos. We'll paste it right here, and we'll do open and close parentheses. It's just going to be empty. We'll hit enter here, and same thing, we're going to print out a message here. So we'll copy this, paste it here, and we'll say, on throw, or not on throw finish, we'll say throw finished. We'll say throw finish there. So we'll get that message there, throw finish. And we will go ahead and go to a new line here. And now we have 2 more to go. These last 2 are related to Ghoul holes. So let's talk about those. So if you watched the last episode, you would know that we talked about 2 ways to do the a callback on Ghoul holes. So we did on enter hole Ghoul hallway. So this is a callback right here, and then from within here we called a timer, which then called another callback here. That's what we removed in the beginning of the video. So this is another way of doing that, aside from doing it that way. So you could get the same behavior pretty much, but this is just another way to do it. Another way to do it if you're not using the command here and you're using a different. Maybe you're using the other mode command. This would be how you can get a callback as well. But we're gonna talk about it anyways. There are only 2 more, so let's just talk about them. So we're gonna say ghoul underscore set callback, and we're gonna be looking for which one should we do? Let's do the emerge completed. So emerge completed. So this means that the ghoul has come out of the hole. So let's go ahead, and it's going to be the same information as the previous ones. The name of the ghoul, the name of the function. So we're going to say on emerge completed, and we'll do underscore ghoul hallway, and then we'll just set this to false as well. And then the syntax for this is going to be void, and then we're gonna say we're gonna copy this here just so that we, again, for typo reasons, so we don't make a typo here. And we'll do open and close parentheses, and we'll just put our curly braces here. But we are gonna put something in here. So in here we need two things actually. We're gonna do const constant t string space, and then we're gonna do the and in. So these pretty much always follow the same format, but we're gonna say as ghoul for the first value, put a comma, we're gonna have a second one here as well, and it's gonna follow the same format, const, and we're gonna say t string space and in, and then we're gonna say as whole. And pretty much what this will do is when this callback occurs, it will pass in these two values here, just like this one here. This one passes in the entity, which would be the pretty much will be the name of the ghoul. In this case, it will put in also the name of the ghoul, and also the hole that the ghoul went into. So this is in case you need to check. You wanted to check what hole he went into. You could say if as whole. This can just be some pseudocode here. If as whole is whole 2 or something like that, just the kind of an example. Not really that won't run, but just an example of something that you could do with that information. But again, we're just gonna print out a message. We're just gonna print out a message, a debug message. So we'll just grab this and we'll paste it here. We could paste this stuff here actually, just so we can see it. So we'll say as ghoul, and we'll say plus. This is just so that we can add some extra. When you add a plus here, it pretty much just means that we're combining strings. So we're gonna do plus, and we're gonna write our own string. So as ghoul emerged from whole. And then we'll put a space here, and we'll hit space here, and we'll do a plus. So we're just combining like a sentence pretty much. We're combining these strings. And then for this last one, we're gonna do as whole. So save it here. So we're gonna be printing out a message. It's gonna have the name of the ghoul. It's gonna have what we wrote here. So whatever the ghoul name is, emerged from whole. We're gonna put a space at the beginning here too, just to have a space here. Emerge from whole, space, and then the name of the hole that he's going to be coming out of, whatever hole it is, because you won't know now unless you have you have it execute. And I guess we'll do the same thing over here too. We'll do as entity plus space. So as entity will be the name of the entity, so it should just be the Google name, and then we'll do plus. We'll combine it into a sentence with alerted, so that we will print out, and you guys will see this message when we run it, just so you guys can see what pretty much comes out. And now let's talk about the last one here. We're gonna say ghoul underscore set callback. Actually, let me just retype it so that it can just autofill for us. Ghoul set callback. Just write out the whole thing. And the last one is gonna be enter hide in hole. Or enter hide and hole. So it's this one right here, and we're gonna put in the same information as before. We're gonna say ghoul hallway, and then we're gonna say comma space, and then we're gonna put in the name of the function. So what I'm gonna put is I'm gonna put on enter hole, and we're gonna say ghoul hallway. So this is just gonna be, this is again following the same syntax. You're entering a hole, so we're gonna say on enter hole, ghoul hallway, and then we'll do comma space, and we'll say false here as well. We'll close it out with a semicolon, and with that we just have the last one to write, the last callback to write here. So we're gonna go right here. We're gonna do space and space, and if you notice, we have a line right here that says on enter hole ghoul hallway, which matches the same one because we have a callback right here called on enter hole ghoul hallway. So you actually can have multiple functions with the same name, they just can't have the same values. For less confusion, you might want to give this a different name, but I don't actually plan on keeping this code here, so I'm just going to keep the same name. Just kind of a note that we will have another function with the same name. And I'll go over what I mean by the two variables in a second when we type this out. So this one we're going to do, for this callback for enter, hide, and hold, we're going to copy this here. We're going to say void, and we're going to paste this in here, our function name, and then we'll do our parentheses and our curly brace just so we have that put out there. And then for this, it's going to be similar to this one right here, with one minor change. So what it's pretty much going to be, const, short for constant, t string, and then we're going to say and in as, and then we're going to say same thing, ghoul, and we'll do comma space, and then we'll do const, t string, and in, and then this is the only difference here. We're going to say as whole name. For some reason, they have a different syntax for this one. That's the only difference. But that's pretty much it. This is what the syntax is for this callback. And again, we're just going to print out a message here, and we'll copy the same one here, and we'll just make some changes. We'll say instead of emerged, we'll say entered. So we'll say whatever the name of the ghoul is, entered from entered whole, and then the name of the whole. So we got to change this to match this one right here. So we're going to say as whole name. So now we'll print the message that says, you know, whatever the name of the ghoul is, entered whole, and then we'll put the name of the whole here. And now just to talk about these two here. So again, notice that these two are identical in function names. So you can still run you can still call a function that has this. If you have multiple functions with the same name, you can still call certain ones individually, but it has to have different variables. So notice this one only has the as entity. So this one can be called with these values, and this one can be called with these two values. So because they have different variables in there, you can call either or. So in this case, this will run fine. But for convention purposes, for like, cleanliness inside of our code and a script, where you can come back and you can reread your code and understand it properly, or if somebody else comes back and reads your code, for them to understand it properly, you might not want to have this. You might have different names. But of course, like I said, I don't intend to keep this one right here, this callback right here. So in reality, we wouldn't need this. I probably won't even keep this one here either. So in this case, this is just for demonstration. But in reality, you wouldn't want to have two function names like this unless they have. If you're familiar with programming, then there are scenarios where you would, but this is not necessarily one of them. This would probably just be more confusing than anything else. And I'm sure I'm confusing a few of you just by mentioning that there's two with the same name here. But just don't worry too much about this one. This one is what we want for this callback right here, as that's the syntax that it uses. And so with that, I know it was a little script heavy. I did mention it was going to be a bit script heavy at the end of the last episode for this episode, but that's pretty much it. Again, just 6 functions that you can accomplish more stuff with your ghoul. These 3 in particular, and actually this one too, although we did talk about this one already. These 4 are very important. This lets you have even more control over your ghouls for when they change states and stuff like that. And if you use whole networks, these 2 will be great too, unless you're already using this command here, in which case you won't really need these 2 here. But yeah, so with that, let's make sure everything is saved up here. We can go ahead and load up into our game and check out all these methods. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here we are in our level. So we're gonna head down to the bottom of our stairs where we have our timer to start. So we're gonna go ahead and head down, and we're gonna trigger that timer. So we should look for here. The ghoul should spawn. We should head into that hole in 5 seconds. He should come out down here, and that should be enough for us to see our messages. So right away, when the ghoul spawns in, you can see ghoul is idle. So we can see that he spawned in, and by default, he was idle before he was anything else. So it printed out our message, so our callback's working right away. So we're gonna wait for him to go in there. And he's gonna go in the hole, and it says entered hole, and then we're gonna wait down here, and he should pop out the hole, and there he is, and then it says emerge from hole, and he's right away, he's an idle. It looks like the as ghoul didn't print anything here. I'm not sure why that is. That is the syntax for it. If there's any reason for that, I might write it down. Maybe it has to be as entity, but it is documented as being as ghoul, so I'm not sure why that is just blank. But let's keep going. And you can see in this case, this one works. This is ghoul hallway alerted. He is alerted here, so we got the callback. We're gonna wait here, and we'll wait for him. And now it says he's hunting. Ghoul is hunting. So since he spotted us ready, he's hunting. He's gonna throw us, and then you can see right away it says throw finished. And let's see if we can get away from him now and make him lose us. So let's see if we can get to the top. So he's still hunting right now. And now you see he's lost us already, so now he's idle now. So now we get the callback there. So pretty much you can use these callbacks however you want. These 6 are 4 of these are really useful. The throwing one, the alerting one, and the others are good for when you're using holes and stuff like that. So very good to know. Good callbacks to know, to have additional things happen when the ghoul enter and exits different kinds of states, or when the ghoul's doing particular things. So very useful to know those. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the video for today, guys. In the next episode, I think we're going to be talking about the last remaining things I have related to ghouls, and then with that will wrap up ghouls. So should be the next episode, should be the last ghoul related episode. And again, it's just scrapping up whatever things we haven't talked about yet, like ghouls opening doors and retreat areas, I think. So those are probably gonna be the last 2 things. Aside from that, we're gonna get back into some of the other things that we need to talk about. We still haven't talked about animations. We haven't talked about, custom sounds. We haven't talked about quite a number of things. So there are a few things that I want to get to. So we'll make sure to get to those after we're done here with ghouls. So only one more episode. Again, let me know if what you guys want to see in future episodes in the comments. And again, I upload three videos a week. So if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe, and make sure you guys stay tuned for those episodes. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. Leave a like on the video, guys. Have a good day. Bye.